kettle's on, let's talk about shelter. A tarp shelter is absolutely brilliant for loads of different situations, whether we stay in there for the day, we stay in overnight, or maybe even a couple of nights. So we're going to look this morning at different setups that doesn't involve a tree. We've covered loads of different tarp setups at Fox Cover that involves a ridgeline. This morning we're going to look at a method that doesn't involve using trees or a ridgeline. Maybe you found yourself in a place where there isn't anywhere to hitch a ridgeline to. So let's see if we can get this done. So we've got a 3.5 by 3.5 DD tarp this morning. There's going to be no ridgelines, there's no guys attached to it. And what we're going to try and do is create ourselves effectively a tent. It's going to have a floor in it, which could be great for the day, maybe even spend the night there. You'll have plenty of room for a bedroll, your sleep systems and your pack. Okay, so the first thing we've done is we've just laid it out on the ground with the underside pointing up towards the sky. The edge that's facing the camera is eventually going to become the door, so we need to make sure that the central grommets that you would put your ridgeline through are facing the way you want the door. Taking two little improvised pegs, all we're going to do is peg out the two central grommets. Pull these nice and taut. Now it's pegged down to the ground and it's not going to go anywhere, we need to fold it in half. We're going to take the back two grommets and bring them towards us. Now we've got it folded over, this is the most complicated part. Having said that, it's not that complicated. We're going to take these two corners together in our finger. We're going to bring them over to this loop. And we're going to peg all these three down together. Got these two together, bringing them in the second eyelet. Peg goes through all three, pull it nice and taut, and through. Exact same thing on the other side, two corner grommets together, pull them through the second one from there, take all the excess, pull it in, stake it down. Next up, we're going to need to give our temporary shelter some height, so we're going to need to find a pole that's roughly about shoulder, chest height. We've got this little bit of hawthorn, and all we're going to do, as always, is just chamfer those edges, because this is going to press up against the inside of your tarp. We don't want any nasty little spikes puncturing it, so we'll do the same at the top and the bottom, because it's going to rest at both sides. All we need to do next is put our pole inside our tent. At the beginning we mentioned that we wanted to keep this central line of eyelets running towards us. This is because if we put the pole underneath this one, it's double stitched, there's a little bit more reinforcement to it. You can see this is starting to come together now, but we can give it a little bit more structural support just by adding a couple of little guys. So all we're going to do is take some small lengths of paracord and stake them down. So it's starting to really come together, but these bits are a little bit baggy and we don't want them blowing in the wind. So we can secure these down by just adding a little bit of paracord, and they're ultimately going to get staked down to the back corners, the first two pegs that we put in. So using this grommet here, we're going to put a sheep bend on there, nothing too flash. Dress that nicely. That line back down to the original first peg that we put on. No fancy knots, just pull the line taut, wrap it round. Rinse and repeat from this side. Sheep bend. So we're almost done. We've just got one last thing to do. I've attached another card to the one last exposed grommet that we've got. This is going to pull forward, put in tension on our support pole, keeping it nice and upright and stable. Last week we talked about using a marlin spike hitch, and I'm aware that maybe we don't all know what that is. So, on our line, we're going to form an overhand loop, where the line crosses over itself. Now we're going to take that loop and bend it back up the line. So we're left with this. Now in the line, we're going to form a bite and pull it through, a little bit like a slip knot. It leaves us with this. So we take our peg, put that through there, and we're done. And there we go, down and dirty, improvised tarp tent without a ridgeline. Plenty of room for all our gear, sleep mat, sleeping bag, easily spend the night here. So just proving a point, I am now laid down inside our little shelter. I've got my bag behind me and I've still got buckets and buckets of room. Now, given this side is all exposed, so we want to aim that away from that directional wind. I don't know about you, I'm mega comfy. So there we are, freestanding tarp tent. No ridgeline, couple of feet of paracord, 5 pegs, mallet, job done. Goes up pretty quickly, plenty of room, love it. It seemed kind of appropriate to do something like this week with our shelter event being advertised. These are some of the kind of things that we'll look at maybe in more non-traditional tarp setups. No ridge lines, we're not going to be just going to be boxed on the A-frame. We'll do some cool stuff. We'll hope to see some of you guys there. And until next time, go explore.